Crunchy goodness for hunger on the go.
Tonight, on First at 9 this Sunday the 12th of January 2025. Raising taxes. Import taxes on certain vehicles could shoot up to a whopping 600%, warns vehicle importers. Further warns of a price hike in the local vehicle market. Building trust. Will revise the Payment and Settlement Act within the year, vows the central bank governor. Proposed revisions to restore public trust in digital payment systems. The new pillars of justice. 4 new Supreme Court justices take oaths before President Anura Dissanayake. Clearing issues. Customs, ports and SLSI officials to work 24/7 to expedite the clearance process of imported containers. President orders to fill vacancies of relevant state departments to support the process.
Chilo Dairy, Sri Lanka Kiren Perata. Obe Vishwase denu Sensodyne, then Lagamati Pharmacy in Labate Hacker.
Kanta parisang karagattot? Ape parisang.
Asian Paints Causeway Aquasafe, Vesat Mattuing Gadarat Disney.
From Derana, this is Derana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and welcome to Derana First at 9. I'm Aditya Adrisinghe joining you live with the latest in Sri Lanka and around the world. Brought to you by the only Sri Lanka media network to rise to the pinnacle across all media platforms, recognized as the best by every survey and beloved by the people. Now on your top story tonight, the Sri Lanka Vehicle Importers Association raised concerns that the vehicle import taxes, which are currently at around 300%, could climb up to a whopping 500% or even 600% for certain vehicles. The president of the association, Prasad Managi, explained that this sharp increase in taxes comes as a result of multiple layers of taxation. These revelations come hot off the heels of the government's decision taken yesterday to not revise the tax levied on fuel. In March 2020, the government of Sri Lanka imposed a ban on vehicle imports to ease pressure on the country's foreign exchange reserves due to the economic crisis triggered by the COVID-19 pandemic and economic mismanagement. However, with the economic recovery strategy tied to the International Monetary Fund's Extended Fund Facility program and the recovery of the country's foreign reserves, the previous government gave the green light on the resumption of vehicle imports from February this year following a 5-year hiatus. Accordingly, the incumbent government revealed plans to move ahead with the 3-stage vehicle import ban relaxation as planned by the previous administration, with specifications from the Finance Ministry. According to the previous regime, the removal of the temporary suspension on the importation of motor vehicles and non-motorized goods classified under a total of 304 HS codes will be executed in 3 stages. This resumption will come into effect by February this year. 4 types of taxes are considered to determine the total amount of tax on vehicle imports. These include special tax on vehicle levy, luxury taxes, excise duty and the value-added tax. Several revisions to excise duties on vehicle imports came into effect yesterday following a special gazette notification issued by the President in that regard. Accordingly, the tax imposed on a WagonR type vehicle, which hovered at around 1.6 million rupees, will exceed 1.8 million rupees following the excise duty hike. Similarly, the import tax of a Toyota Vitz could jump from 2 million rupees to approximately 2.4 million rupees. The taxes on Toyota Aqua, Toyota Corolla and Toyota Axio models, which formerly stood at 5.7 million rupees, will rise to almost 6.6 million rupees.
බදු ප්‍රමාණය 400ක් 500ක් දක්වා වැඩි වීමක් තමයි අපිට දකින්න ලැබෙන්නේ. සමහර වාහන සඳහා 600 දක්වා වුණත් වැඩි වෙන ඉඩ තියෙනවා. ඒහා සමානවම වෙළඳපොලේ වාහන මිල ඉහළ යයිද? කරන්ට් මාකට් එකට වඩා පොඩ්ඩක් හරි උඩට යන තත්ත්වයක් තමයි අපිට දකින්න ලැබෙන්නේ. වාහන ගෙන්නන ප්‍රමාණය ගැන සාකච්ඡා කළා තියෙනවා. සමහරවිට අවුරුද්දකට ඩොලර් බිලියනයක් පමණ වාහන සඳහා වෙන් කරන්න පුළුවන්. වාහන මම හිතන්නේ 50,000 60,000ක් වුණත් ගෙන්න පුළුවන් ප්‍රමාණයක් තියෙනවා.
Meanwhile, the Vehicle Importers Association requests the government to focus on the import of vehicles exceeding 5 years from the date of their manufacture.
Majority of people prefer to purchase Japanese vehicles. Compared to 2020, the Japan vehicle market is very different. Therefore, we request the government to import vehicles exceeding 7 years from the date of manufacturing rather than importing vehicles exceeding 3 years. Now they claim that there is only a small window remaining to open up vehicle imports, so they intend to proceed with their decision. The other issue is that Japan now swaps vehicles every 5 years, not 3. Due to the economic challenges, they keep on using their vehicles. Prices drop only after 5 years. Therefore, if we did not import vehicles which are more than 5 years old from their date of manufacture, the people of this country will never have the chance to purchase a good vehicle at a reasonable price.
In the meantime, the government also decided to not revise the tax levied on fuel. The relevant gazette was issued yesterday by President Anura Dissanayake in his capacity as the Minister of Finance and Economic Development. Accordingly, the taxes imposed with effect from the 1st of January 2024 will remain unchanged. As such, a tax of 72 rupees will continue to be imposed on 1 litre of petrol, while a tax of 57 rupees and 50 rupees will be imposed on 1 litre of super diesel and auto diesel, respectively.
Union Assurance.
Welcome to Cinnamon Life, South Asia's biggest entertainment hub, where awe awaits.
චන්දරුසුමේ කාගෙන් වන අපේ සිංහ TV සඳහා සුපිරි ඩීල්. Sadaharita Plantations Limited, celebrating 22 years of your trust.
Crunchy goodness for hunger on the go.
Now, the government has decided to operate port services and customs 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, in order to expedite the clearance process of imported containers into the country. During a meeting with sector stakeholders and President Anura Dissanayake, it was also decided to vacate a 5-acre plot of land belonging to the Ports Authority at Blue Mendel for the storage of containers. Additionally, during the meeting, the President instructed that the relevant vacancies in the state sector be filled to support the process and that the welfare allowances of relevant officers be increased. During the past few days, long queues of container trucks were seen at the customs terminal in Orugodawatta due to issues pertaining to the clearance of imported containers. In light of this, several stakeholders along with the Minister of Transport, Highways, Ports and Civil Aviation, Bimal Ratnayaka, held a meeting with President Anura Dissanayake today at the Presidential Secretariat.
කිසිදු බාධාවකින් තොරව ගේට්ටුවේ මෙහෙම යන්න පුළුවන් නම් ඒ ටික යන්නේ නැත්තේ රේගුවෙන් රඳවා ගන්නවා ටැංකි 10ක් આવොත් ඒ 10න් අපි රේගුවේ පරීක්ෂණය සඳහා කන්ටේනර් දෙකයි අපි තෝරගන්නේ. ඊතුරු කන්ටේනරට රේගු පරීක්ෂණ ඉවර වෙන තුරු වරාය පරිශ්‍රය හෝ කන්සයින් එකේ ගෝඩවුන් වලට අපි යවනවා.
දෙනවා ගෝඩවුන් එකට අරන් යන්න කියලා. නමුත් ඒගොල්ලෝ අරන් යන්නේ නැහැ. ඒගොල්ලෝ වරාය ඇතුළේ තියාගෙන ඉන්නවා. අපි ඉස්සර වගේ නෙමෙයි අපි හොඳටම බලනවා. රාජ්‍ය ආදායම අපිට දීලා තිබුණ හියුජ් රෙවෙනියු ටාස්ක් එකක් අපි ඕක හොඳට බලලා මුළු කන්ටේනර් එක අපි අඩි 40න් බලන සමහරවිට ස්කෑන් එකෙන් අපිට පෙන්නනවට වඩා දේවල් අපිට අහු වෙලා තියෙනවා.
අපි හිතන්නේ තදබදය අඩු කරගන්න ඕගොල්ලන්ගේ පැත්තෙන් විශාල සහායක් අවශ්‍ය වෙනවා. අපි දැන් මෙතන යෝජනා කීපයක් අනුමත කරගත්තා.
We have agreed on several proposals. One issue is the backlog of 350 to 400 containers belonging to the Food Department and other government agencies. We have agreed to move the low-risk containers to the go-down category. There is a plot of land in Blue Mandal owned by the SLPA. We will vacate 2 acres of it by January 31st and provide the entire 5-acre land by February 28th. In the meantime, a plot of land in Paliagoda will be provided for container trucks currently parked at the port terminal. Additionally, we propose operating 24 hours a day. We will ensure that the necessary officials from customs, ports and SLSI are available to work around the clock. A major delay is caused by not working on weekends. Therefore, we will implement a 7-day work schedule to expedite the clearance process of imported containers. Another issue contributing to delays is the 3-day free storage period for containers. We will reduce this to 2 days, effective January 31st. These are the solutions we propose to mitigate this issue within the next few months.
Special attention was also given at the meeting to purported staff shortages experienced by the relevant government departments and institutions. In response, the President instructed officials to fill the vacancies and increase the welfare allowances to the relevant officers. Minister Bimal Ratnayake stated that if additional funds are required to address these issues, financial support can be provided by the Ministry of Ports. Additionally, the importers agreed that a certificate from accredited foreign laboratories is mandatory for food-related products. They further acknowledged that any irregularities in these certificates would be subject to government regulations and legal action. It was decided that this emergency process will remain in effect until the 30th of June. During the meeting, Port Service Providers Association requested police security for container trucks currently parked on the roads.
අපි හිතනවා ඉදිරි දවස් 10 ඇතුළත මේ ප්‍රශ්නයෙන් සැලකියුතු කොටසක් ගන්න පුළුවන් මේක නැවත මේ සියලුම අය අපි 21 වෙනිදා කැබිනට් සබ් කමිටියට කැඳවලා තිබෙනවා.
Now, the Central Bank Governor Dr. Nandalal Veerasinghe stated that the Central Bank of Sri Lanka expects to revise the Payment and Settlement Act within this year. He further mentions that the proposed revisions aim to enhance the legal framework and payment infrastructure to strengthen public trust in digital payment systems. Presenting the 2025 policy agenda, Governor Veerasinghe also revealed plans to amend the Finance Business Act and the Financial Leasing Act to strengthen the country's non-bank financial sector.
The Central Bank, with the coordination of the Colombo Port City Commission, will facilitate the conduct of offshore banking businesses through procured regulatory and supervisory function that we are working with the banks and the Port City Commission. In relation to non-bank financial institutions, Central Bank remains committed to safeguarding the non-bank financial institution sector by strengthening the regulatory environment. Alongside the key instrument there is the implementation of the Master Plan for Consolidation of Finance Companies, which was initially announced in 2020. The Master Plan aims to create a strong and stable non-bank financial institution sector and consists of two phases. Under phase 1, 8 amalgamation transactions were successfully completed. The revised phase 2 of the Master Plan was announced in December 2024 with an execution period spanning over 3 years from March 2025 to March 2028. This phase 2 focuses on enhancing the resilience of finance companies that intend to continue on standalone basis. The progress of these finance companies in meeting the benchmarks established under phase 2 will be monitored to ensure successful implementation of the revised phase 2. To strengthen regulatory oversight, enhance its management and promote stability of the non-bank financial institutions, the sector, amendments also would be made to the Finance Business Act and the Finance Leasing Act. So we'll do it in this year in line with the developments in the non-bank financial institution sector. Obviously, we will have a consultation with the sector when we introduce these legislations. Now we turn into a macroprudential policies. Now, under new act, is the Macroprudential Authority of Sri Lanka. We published a macroprudential policy framework as a step towards ensuring some stability through enhanced communication on macroprudential approach. Central Bank is strengthening our macroprudential approach through enhanced systemic risk surveillance. In this regard, stress testing and analysis framework were further improved to better estimate, to understand the sensitivity to various macro-financial stress scenarios, thus strengthening the monitoring of developments and risks in the financial system overall. The Central Bank envisages extending its stress testing framework to the financial sector, finance companies as well in this year. So that's really further broadened to other financial sector players as well. Furthermore, the reassessment of DSIPs with the required capital buffers have also been now completed. Announcement of the DSIPs along with corresponding DSIP capital buffers is expected now. We'll announce this year. Moving forward, the Central Bank will focus on identifying systemically important finance companies to strengthen the financial sector resilience. This parallel to DSIPs of banks, we also have a similar system for finance companies as well. A targeted policy approach through the use of appropriate macroprudential tools will strengthen oversight of banking sector credit. It will improve risk management among lending institutions and ensure financial stability. As a macroprudential authority of the country, the Central Bank extends its macroprudential approach to financial sector participants outside the bank's regulatory purview through the Financial System Oversight Committee, or what they call EPSO. That's the overall coordination with the other financial sector regulators, which obviously bring all regulators under one umbrella from the macroprudential surveillance point of view. Under sustainable finance, one is the Sustainable Finance Roadmap for Sri Lanka, the version 2. Now we are working on that. This is to be launched in this year in line with evolving global and domestic conditions and to be operationalized with a view to providing timely guide for the expansion of sustainable finance activities in the country. We have some initiatives and we'll continue to work on that on areas that we are responsible. To support this implementation roadmap, Central Bank will continue. One area is capacity building in this area, is including programs on Sri Lanka Green Finance Taxonomy that we are going to introduce, so update, to equip stakeholders with necessary knowledge and tools to integrate sustainable practices in line with the roadmap that we announced. The existing regulatory framework for sustainable finance activities would also be reviewed based on the updated Basel core principles with necessary actions to address any identified gaps. Moving into the other payment and settlement systems, that's also our responsibility. We know that maintaining a stable and efficient finance payment system is pivotal in ensuring sound financial systems. In this regard, initiatives are planned to improve relevant legislations and payments infrastructure and increase public trust in digital payments. So that's one area that we are seeing that work more on the public trust in digital payments. While promoting technology, we need to improve public trust in these areas as well.
Fast track your career from O levels with eSoft.
ඩයිබටසෝල් සීනි වලින් පරිස්සම් වන ඔබට අමතක නොවන පෝෂණය. ප්‍රයිම් ගෲප් ලංකාවේ ප්‍රථම වතාවට හඳුන්වා දෙන ලෑන්ඩ් ලීසින් ලේසියෙන් මීටමක්.
Single 1111 up to 60% off from the 11th November to the 17th of November.
Kalani wire කිසි ගින්නක් නෑ.
කිසි ගින්නක් නෑ. Kalani Fire Shield Wire.
Apiko Mattress. Sama sapata nidiyanna Apiko Springs foam mattress madiri rasakin.
Now, meanwhile, according to data issued by the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, the country's worker remittances reached their highest level in 6 years as more individuals sent foreign currency from abroad. Full-year remittances for 2024 rose by 10.1% to $6.57 billion, up from nearly $5.96 billion in the previous year. In December 2024, remittances increased by 7.7% to $613.8 million compared to $569.7 million in the same month of the previous year. Worker remittances remain one of the top foreign exchange revenue sources for Sri Lanka, which is still recovering from the unprecedented economic crisis that hit the country in 2022. It is also noteworthy that Sri Lanka has been actively sending more migrant workers abroad to boost foreign exchange inflows as part of ongoing efforts to recover from the prevailing economic crisis. According to data from the Sri Lanka Foreign Employment Bureau, a record 312,836 people left the country in 2024, surpassing the previous record of 310,953 set in 2022. Now, in other local news, island-wide cleanup campaigns were carried out today under the government's initiative, Clean Sri Lanka. A major cleanup operation to clean the 65-kilometre stretch of coastline between Benthara and Govyapana, covering the entire coastline of the Galle district, was also executed as part of the Clean Sri Lanka initiative today. Under the government's Clean Sri Lanka initiative, cleanup campaigns continued across the country today. A major cleanup campaign was executed in the Galle district today with the attendance of Deputy Minister of Vocational Education Nalin Hevage, Governor of the Southern Province Bandula Harishchandra and several other government officials.
We have initiated a major cleanup project starting from Benthara, covering 57 areas. I think this is the largest labour operation carried out in the recent history. This is just the beginning. From next month onwards, we will renovate the train station in the Galle district. Additionally, we will establish well-maintained restroom facilities in areas such as Balapitiya, Galle and Ahangama. We will also take measures to establish a people-friendly environment within government offices in the next 2 months. We have a long-term vision for this country.
Accordingly, government agencies, police personnel, navy officers, voluntary organizations and residents joined hands to clean up the 65 kilometers of coastline from Benthara to Govyapana, covering the entire coastline of the Galle district.
Good morning.
Simultaneously, the Galle fort was also cleaned despite the heavy rain. NPP MP Nishant Perera also joined the cleanup programs in the Benthota area.
In Sri Lanka, to believe and then it happened. We make it clean.
Concurrently, cleanup campaigns were also carried out in Balapitiya today. Meanwhile, the elephant fences in Polonnaruwa Alahara and Puaggaha Ulpata area were cleared and restored yesterday afternoon. In the meantime, the entrance of the heavily polluted Negombo Dutch fort, built in 1672, was cleaned by inmates of the Negombo prison yesterday. As part of the ongoing Clean Sri Lanka initiative, a special campaign was organized to clean up either sides of the Hatton-Nuwara main road. To prevent the scattering of waste along the sides of the road, several garbage bins were also installed alongside the road. Now, 4 new Supreme Court justices took oaths of office today at the Presidential Secretariat. Accordingly, RMS Rajakaruna, Menaka Vijayasundara, Sampath B. Abekon and MSKB Vijayaratne took oaths of office as Supreme Court justices before the country's top executive, President Anil Kumara Dissanayaka, at the Presidential Secretariat earlier this morning. Secretary to the President, Dr. Nandika Sanath Kumar Nayaka, was also in attendance at the occasion. Now, as heavy rains and strong winds lash Sri Lanka, causing reservoir water levels to rise significantly, the Department of Irrigation took measures to open sluice gates of several reservoirs today. Meanwhile, the Department of Railways announced that the train operations along the upcountry railway line, which were disrupted following an earth slip between Ohiya and Idalgasina railway stations, have been restored after the tracks were cleared. Heavy downpours and strong winds pounded several areas across the country today, prompting authorities to open sluice gates of some reservoirs. The Department of Irrigation noted that all 6 sluice gates of the Ratkinda reservoir were opened due to the heavy rainfall this morning, inundating a part of the Ratkinda-Giraduru-Kotte road. In addition, sluice gates of the Kaludula reservoir, Angamu reservoir, Rajangane reservoir and the Murathavala reservoir were also opened in view of the heavy downpours. Taking the persisting weather patterns into account, the Department of Meteorology forecasts that heavy rains above 75 millimeters will occur at times in the northern, north central, eastern and Nuwa provinces and in the Matale, Nuwara and Hambantota districts tomorrow. Fairly heavy showers are also expected in the Uva province and in Batiklo, Ampara and Hambantota districts. In other weather-related developments, the Department of Railways announced that the train operations along the upcountry railway line, which were disrupted following an earth slip between the Ohiya and Idalgasina railway stations, have been restored after the tracks were cleared. And now here's a look at some thoughts shared in the political arena today.
මේගොල්ලෝ විපක්ෂයේ හිටිය අවුරුදු 76ම හොරකම් ගැන ෆයිල් හදලා තියෙනවා මිසක් නැත්නම් අඩුපාඩු ටික හොයනවා මිසක් තමන් බලය ලබාගෙන කොහොමද වැඩේ කරන්න කියන එක ස්ටඩි කරලා නැහැ. මාලිමාව තමන්ගේ ප්‍රතිපත්ති ක්ලීන් කරගෙන යන පාටක් නම් පේනවා. මොකද මැතිවරණ කාලේ කියපු එකක්වත් ප්‍රායෝගිකව බිම් මට්ටමේ කරන්න බැරි බව අද එයාටම තේරෙනවා.
අපි ආවේ අවුරුදු 5ක ටෙස්ට් එකක් ගහන්න නැහැ ටෙස්ට් මැච් එකක් ගහන්න. ඉතින් අපිත් බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා දැන් ටිකක් පිටිය ටිකක් සාමාන්‍ය ස්ථාවරයි. දැන් පහර දෙන්න පුළුවන් කමක් තියෙනවා. ලබන මාසෙ ඉඳන් වගේ ඉතින් 6 4 පහරවල් ටිකක් එකක් දෙකක්වත් ගහන්න ඕනේ නේ.
දැන් පහුගිය ආණ්ඩුව මේ වෙනකම් බලයේ තිබ්බනම් සමහර වෙලාවට දැන් විදුලි බිල දෙපාරක් අඩු වෙලා. එහෙනම් ජනතාවට විශාල සහනයක් ලැබිලා. පාර්ලිමේන්තුවට ගියත් පාර්ලිමේන්තුව හොඳ තැනකට ගේනවා කියලා කටයුතු කරා. අද පාර්ලිමේන්තුවට ගියාම අපිට පේනවා ඉතාමත් නොදියුණු මට්ටමක හැසිරෙන කණ්ඩායම් ඉන්න පාර්ලිමේන්තුවක් බවට පත් වෙලා තියෙනවා.
පැහැදිලිවම පේනවා පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ සංස්කෘතියේ සැබෑ වෙනසක් මේ වෙනකොට සිද්ධ වෙමින් පවතිනවා කියලා. නමුත් පාර්ලිමේන්තුව තුලත් පරණ ඒ වගේ සංස්කෘතියේ අපැහැදිලිතම් සහ නරකතන් නෂ්ටාවශේෂ විදිහට තියෙනවා.
Welcome back. Now in your business news, Sri Lanka successfully achieved its 2024 tourism target by welcoming over 2 million tourists, marking a significant milestone in the country's tourism recovery after facing numerous challenges including the economic crisis, the fallout of the Easter Sunday terror attacks and the COVID-19 pandemic. However, scaling new peaks, the country has set its targets to attract 3 million tourists in 2025 while generating over $5 billion in tourism revenue. Sri Lanka marked a significant milestone in its tourism recovery last year, generating over $3.2 billion in revenue. According to reports of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, this is a 53.2% increase from the $2.07 billion earned in 2023. A remarkable surge in tourist arrivals was also noted in 2024, with over 2 million travelers visiting the country. This marks a 38.07% increase from 2023. This growth is fueled by targeted global marketing, showcasing showcasing the country's rich cultural heritage and natural wonders. Accordingly, the month of December also proved to be a standout month, recording the highest monthly arrivals for the year, amounting to 248,592. Meanwhile, looking ahead, the country has set its sights high, aiming to attract 3 million tourists and achieve $5 billion in tourism revenue. According to the latest reports of the Sri Lanka Tourism Development Authority, a total of 70,944 tourists visited the country during the first 9 days of this month. The country's tourism industry kicks off 2025 with over 50,000 new arrivals during the first week of the year, reflecting a strong start. Meanwhile, the highest number of tourists arrived from India, with a total of 11,749 Indian tourists visiting the island. The Russian Federation held its previous spot as the country with the second highest number of tourist arrivals. The report also highlighted significant number of tourist arrivals from the United Kingdom, Germany and Australia. Now in your corporate developments, a high dependency unit was installed recently at the Galle National Hospital as part of the 190th anniversary celebrations of the George Stewart Group. The initiative aims to aid the treatment of leptospirosis, a disease which, according to health experts, has spread rather rapidly, particularly in Galle. With a recorded history as Sri Lanka's oldest mercantile establishment, the George Stewart Group celebrates its 190th anniversary this year. As part of their generous initiatives, the George Stewart Group supported the installment of a high dependency unit located in Ward 16 at the Galle National Hospital.
මේ සම්බන්ධය අවශ්‍ය වෙන මුළු බරම දරලා කරාල්පිටිය රෝගවලට මේ රෝගී ඉතා විශාල වශයෙන් ලංකාවේ දකුණු පළාතේ විශේෂයෙන් ගාල්ල දිස්ත්‍රික්කයේ ලෙප්ටෝස්පයිරෝසිස් රෝගීන් මේ යන සහ ඒ රෝග සංකූලතාව වැඩි අන්නේ රෝගීන්ගේ හමු වෙන ප්‍රවණතාවය ගාල්ල ප්‍රදේශයේ ගොඩක් වැඩි. ගාල්ල අපිට විශේෂයි. ඒ මොකද මෙම කම්පැනිය නිර්මාතෘ කැප්ටන් ජේම්ස් ස්ටුවර්ට් පැමිණියේ ගාල්ල වරායට 1800 ගණන් වල එයාගේ සහෝදරයාගේ නමින් තමයි ජෝර්ජ්ගේ නමින් තමයි මෙම කම්පැනි එක ස්ථාපිත කරේ.
2025 is 190 years for George Stewart and Company as a group, and we are happy to celebrate this occasion by doing a series of meritorious and CSR initiatives.
That's all the news we have for you tonight. For further updates, stay in touch with Ada Derana, the nation's most trusted news source. Thank you. Have a great night.
For news and information you can trust 24 hours a day, visit adaderana.lk.